Child, Kendrick Lamar just broke a record that has the entire music industry, and I mean the entire industry, scrambling to figure out what just happened. And Drake? Drake is allegedly somewhere right now trying to process how his biggest commercial flex just got absolutely obliterated by a song Kendrick doesn't even perform on tour. We're talking about Goosebumps. We're talking about 17 times platinum. We're talking about the best-selling rap song in history. And word on the street? Knowing tone? This is just the beginning of what's about to unfold, loves. So before we get into all of this mess, and trust me, it's a lot, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe, because what I'm about to break down is something they do not want you connecting the dots on. All right, so here's where we're at. Over the past few months, actually, let me correct that. Over the past year, something has been shifting in hip-hop. Kendrick Lamar has been on this thing called the Grand National Tour, the GNX Tour for short, and reports say it's been absolutely massive. We're talking sold-out stadiums across the globe, Argentina, Chile, cities most American rappers won't even touch. And allegedly, industry insiders have been whispering that this success, it's putting serious pressure on Drake, like the kind of pressure that makes you start questioning your entire legacy type of pressure. But here we go, loves. Here's what we need to understand. This isn't just about tour numbers. This isn't just about one record going 17 times platinum. This is about a complete cultural shift happening in real time. And some people are on the right side of history, and others, let's just say the receipts are coming out. What I'm about to prove to you today is that Kendrick Lamar has been playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. And the evidence of that is so overwhelming that even his haters can't deny it anymore. Now look, I already know some people won't want to hear this trope. Oh, you're just a Kendrick stan. You're just hating on Drake. But see, that's exactly the problem. Y'all have been so conditioned by chart positions and playlist placements that you forgot what actual artistry looks like. And if you're someone who cares about the truth of what's happening in hip-hop right now, make sure you support this channel by leaving a like so everyone can see this. Because we're the ones paying attention. We're the ones who see through the industry's smoke and mirrors. And honestly, we deserve to watch this unfold together. So let's rewind for just a second and talk about the elephant in the room, the Kendrick and Drake situation. Over the last year, there have been, let's call them moments, where fans interpreted certain things Kendrick said on stage as indirect shots. Now, allegedly, and I'm saying allegedly because Kendrick has never directly named names in these instances. But reports say that during several tour stops, Kendrick made comments about copycats and chart chasers. And listen, many people in the hip-hop community immediately connected those dots to Drake. I'm not saying Kendrick said Drake's name. Protected language here. I'm saying that's how a significant portion of the audience interpreted it. But here's where it gets interesting. While all of this alleged subliminal tension is happening, Kendrick is out here literally rewriting the record books. And Drake, well, we'll get to that, because right now we need to talk about the record that just broke the internet. Okay, so let's talk about Argentina. Estadio River Plate. You need to understand this venue holds around 85,000 people for major events. 85,000! This was the third show of the third leg of Kendrick's GNX tour. And leading up to this performance, something really weird started happening online. Claims started circulating, and I'm talking tweets, forum posts, alleged insider information saying that, number one, the venue size numbers were misleading. Sections were being reduced or closed off. Upper level seating was blocked due to low demand. Like, people were really out here trying to say Kendrick couldn't sell out this venue, that the show was flopping, that he had to close sections because nobody wanted to come. Child, the lies that were being spread. So here's what happened, actually, according to multiple sources who were at the event. Number one, the show sold out. Period. Every ticket was gone. Number two, The upper level staging was shifted, but not because of low demand. It was moved closer to the stage for production reasons, to create a better visual experience, better sound engineering, better audience immersion. And here's the part that really matters. This was reportedly the first time a rapper ever performed at Estadio River Plate. Ever. I mean, yikes. Imagine being so threatened by someone's success, you have to make up lies about attendance numbers. Let's getting desperate, honestly. And this isn't an isolated incident, Lowe's, because when we look at the rest of the tour, a very clear pattern emerges. So Argentina was one stop, but let's talk about what's been happening across this entire tour. So Chile. Kendrick got a standing ovation before he even finished the first song. The crowd was described by people who were there as electric, overwhelming, one of the loudest audiences they'd ever heard. Reports from multiple cities on this tour say crowds are getting bigger with each time. Engagement is getting more intense. Each show reportedly performs less in terms of energy and fan response. Now, here's what's fascinating. Kendrick is hitting cities that allegedly major American artists has passed over for years. Like, we're talking South American markets that don't always get the big stadium tours. Places have been history as historically undervalued. And Kendrick shows up, sells out 85,000-seat stadiums, and makes history by being the first rapper to perform at these legendary venues. Meanwhile, and I'm just saying allegedly, there are other artists who are struggling to fill smaller venues in cities they've performed in multiple times before. But we'll come back to that, because right now we need to talk about the record that just broke the internet. Okay, here it is. The RIAA, that's the Record Industry Association of America, the official body that certifies record sales, has just announced something huge. Goosebumps, the 2016 collaboration between Travis Scott and Kendrick Lamar, has officially been certified 17 times platinum. That makes it the best-selling rap song in history. In history, not top 5. Not top 3, number 1. And word on the street, no, to understand how big a deal this is, you need to know what record it just broke. Previously, the best-selling rap song was Drake's God's Plan. And look, God's Plan was huge when it came out. It dominated the charts. It was everywhere. Drake was at the peak of his commercial power. But Goosebumps just overtook it. And here's the thing that has people shook. Lending in, Kendrick Lamar is known in the industry for rarely submitting his records for certification. Like, he just doesn't. He doesn't play the certification game the way other artists do. Drake, on the other hand, and this is well documented, regularly updates his certifications. He's always making sure his numbers are officially recognized. Nothing wrong with that. That's his business strategy. But if Kendrick doesn't submit most of his music for certification, and he still has the best-selling rap song ever, what does that tell you about how many of his other songs are actually outperforming their official numbers? Like, walk with me for a second. If Kendrick submitted all of his data, all of it, how many records would he actually hold? Evidence Section 2, the Under-Certified Catalog. So let's look at what we do know about Kendrick's other major hits, because this is where it gets really interesting. Humble, massive global hit, everywhere in 2017 and 2018. According to reports, it's still climbing in streams and hasn't been fully certified in years. All the Stars, huge Black Panther soundtrack, cultural moment, under-certified. Not Like Us. Reports say this song has reportedly passed 10 million copies sold or streamed equivalently. That's diamond level, diamond. But it hasn't been officially submitted for that certification yet. Like, Kendrick just has a diamond level record sitting there, uncertified, like it's no big deal. And sources are saying, allegedly, that if Kendrick actually submitted all the numbers for songs like Humble and Not Like Us, Humble could surpass Goosebumps and become the new best-selling rap song ever. I mean, can you imagine having the potential to hold the top 2 spots and just not even bothering to make it official? That's a different kind of confidence, loves. That I don't need a plaque to prove what I already know energy. Transition. The artistic choice. But wait, it gets even more interesting. Despite Goosebumps being the best-selling rap song in history, despite this song now holding a record that will be talked about for years, Kendrick doesn't even perform it on the GNX store. So he just doesn't do it. It's not in the set list. Instead, according to reports from people who've attended the shows, Kendrick focuses on newer material from his latest projects, deeper album cuts that casual listeners might not know, storytelling moments, and extended freestyles, songs that challenge the audience rather than just giving them hits. So, while other artists, allegedly, are out here performing their greatest hits on repeat, trying to squeeze every last drop of nostalgia and commercial appeal out of their catalogs, Kendrick is performing songs that most of the audience might not even recognize. Why would someone do that? Why would you not perform your biggest commercial record ever? Because he's not interested in what's commercial. He's interested in what's artistic. And that distinction, that's what separates legends from, well, everybody else. The big concept. Okay, so this is the concept I need y'all to lock in on because it explains everything that's happening right now. Cultural impact versus commercial success. Repeat for emphasis. Cultural versus commercial. Commercial success is about the charts. It's about first week sales, playlist placements, how many times a song gets played in the moment it drops. It's immediate, it's loud, it's flashy. Cultural impact, that's about longevity. That's about whether people are still talking about your work 5, 10, 20 years later. That's about whether your art means something beyond the numbers. Think about it like this. Drake's God's Plan was massive when it dropped in 2018. Huge, again, unavoidable, broke records. But here we are, 2025, and I mean, when's the last time you heard someone genuinely excited about God's Plan? When's the last time it was culturally relevant beyond being a trivia answer? Meanwhile, Kendrick's Humble from 2017 still gets brought up in conversations about the best rap songs of the 2010s. Not Like Us, still trending, still being analyzed, still part of the cultural conversation. That's the difference, loves. One is a moment, the other is a movement. And what we're watching right now is the industry slowly realizing that they bet on the wrong horse. They invested in commercial moments that faded while Kendrick was building cultural monuments. Deeper analysis. The Travis Scott factor. Now, we can't talk about Goosebumps without talking about the other person on that track. Travis Scott. Look, Travis Scott is a major figure in modern hip-hop. Rodeo, Birds in the Trap Singing Tonight, Astroworld, Utopia. These are influential projects that shaped the sound of the 2010s and 2020s. Travis is recognized as someone who creates sonic atmospheres, not necessarily technical lyricism. He's talking about the vibe, the energy, the production worlds he builds with people like Pharrell, Mike Dean, and, important, Kanye West. And actually, a lot of people don't realize this, but some of Travis's signature sound directions were originally Kanye concepts that Travis developed further. Like, Kanye would have an idea, Travis would take it and run with it, make it his own thing. But recently, and I'm talking over the past year or so, Travis has faced some public criticism. References to Pusha T's diss track, claims about lacking creativity, accusations of switching teams or being disloyal. Now, despite these critiques, Travis still maintains a large and loyal fan base. That's real. His shows still sell out. His music still performs conversely well. But here's what's interesting in the context of Goosebumps becoming the biggest rap song ever. Is the song long-term success because of Travis's sonic world, or is it because of Kendrick's bursts and cultural weight? Or is it the combination, the perfect alchemy of Travis's production ear and Kendrick's artistic credibility? Honestly, I think it's both. But the fact that we're even having this conversation tells you something about how differently these two artists are viewed in terms of artistry versus commercial appeal. Audience reaction segment. So as all of this was unfolding, the Argentina show, the Goosebumps certification, the tour success, the reactions online were immediate and honestly wild. You had shocked Kendrick fans saying things like, he really just did that without even trying. This is what real artistry looks like. Drake could never. Then you had sympathetic voices, mostly from the Drake camp, saying, Drake still has more hits overall. Chart petitions don't tell the whole story. God's Plan was a bigger cultural moment when it dropped. And then you had the really harsh critics who were just like, Drake's legacy is cooked. This is embarrassing for OVO. Kendrick just ended the debate forever. On the other hand, some people were saying, look, this doesn't diminish Drake's accomplishments. He's still one of the biggest artists of all time. One record doesn't change that. And you know what? That's fair. That's actually a reasonable take. But here's what those people are missing. This isn't just about one record. This is about a pattern. A pattern of Kendrick quietly dominating while everyone was distracted by the loudest voice in the room. So I want to bring in something that's been circulating among industry people. And look, I can't name names because these are private conversations, but word on the street from people who work with major labels and touring companies is really telling. Allegedly, multiple industry insiders have been saying that Kendrick's recent success is creating a pressure situation for Drake. Not just competitive pressure, like actual business pressure. Here's what that means. When one artist is selling out 85,000-seat stadiums in markets that other artists can't touch, when that artist is breaking commercial records without playing the commercial game, well, that makes the industry question everything they thought they knew about what sells. And if the industry starts to believe that authenticity and artistry can be just as profitable or more profitable than playlist gaming and chart manipulation, well, that's a problem for artists whose entire brand is built on commercial dominance. Now, I'm not saying Drake is any of those things, but I am saying that the perception is shifting. And in the music industry, perception is reality. All right, so let's look at the actual numbers in timeline, because this is where it gets really interesting. Goosebumps was released in 2016. 2016! That's 9 years ago as of 2025. This song has been growing steadily for 9 years. Not a huge immediate explosion. It was successful, don't get me wrong, but it's been building. God's Plan dropped in 2018. It exploded immediately, broke first-week streaming records, dominated the charts for months, was inescapable. But Goosebumps overtook it. A song from 2 years earlier that had a slower initial climb eventually surpassed the song that had all the hype and immediate numbers. What does that tell you? It tells you that Goosebumps has staying power. People keep coming back to it. It keeps getting discovered by new audiences. It has cultural longevity. Meanwhile, God's Plan peaked early and then kind of plateaued. It's still a big song. It's still certified at a high level, but it's not growing the way that Goosebumps is still growing. And that right there, that's the difference between a hit and a classic. All right, so let's look at the streaming behavior, because this is fascinating. So according to data from various streaming platforms, and this is publicly available information, by the way, Goosebumps has maintained consistent streaming numbers year over year since 2016. It doesn't have huge spikes. It's not like it suddenly blows up and then disappears, just kind of keeps getting played consistently, month after month, year after year. That tells you it's on playlists that people genuinely listen to, not just algorithmic push playlists, but it's in people's personal rotations. It's a song that people choose to play, not one that gets forced on them. Songs like God's Plan or In My Feelings or even Hotline Bling. Okay, massive songs, huge moments. But if you look at their streaming patterns, they spike hard when they drop and then decline over time. That's not a criticism, that's normal for commercial pop hits. But it's different from what Goosebumps has done. Goosebumps is showing the pattern of a song that becomes part of the culture, not just part of a moment. And so now we need to talk about why this keeps happening. Why does Kendrick keep winning these long-term battles, even when Drake dominates the short term? Here's the thing. The music industry for the past 10 to 15 years has been built around algorithms, playlists, and first-week numbers. Spotify is Discover Weekly, Apple Music's New Music Daily, Billboard's streaming-weighted charts. And Drake, to his credit and his team's credit, figured out how to master that system. Playlist placements, strategic single drops, features with huge artists, dance challenges, meme culture. It worked. Commercially, it absolutely worked. Drake became the most streamed artist on Spotify. He broke chart records. He dominated the 2010s. But here's what that system doesn't account for. Long-term cultural value. Algorithms push what's new. Playlists prioritize what's popular right now, but they don't measure what people will care about in 5 years. They can't predict what becomes timeless. And Kendrick's strategy, whether intentional or just his natural artistic inclination, has been to create music that doesn't fit neatly into those systems. Albums that require full listens. Songs with complex structures, lyrics that reward repeated listening. And what happens is, those songs don't always explode immediately, but they grow. They become part of conversations. They get taught in college courses. They become cultural touchstones. And so when we ask, why does this keep happening? The answer is, the system was built to reward immediate commercial success. But culture rewards long-term artistic value. And Kendrick bet on enabling factors. Who allowed this? Now, let's talk about the ecosystem that allowed this situation to develop, because it's not just about two artists. You've got labels, management teams, streaming platforms, media outlets, and yes, inclusive, fans and listeners like us. Major labels have been pushing the commercial dominance equals artistic dominance narrative for years, because it benefits them. If they can convince everyone that chart positions equals quality, they can manufacture hits and control the narrative. Music media, blogs, magazines, YouTube panels often prioritize clicks and views over actual analysis. Examples: Drake breaks another record, gets more engagement than let's analyze why this Kendrick album cut is brilliant. Streaming platforms. Streaming platforms have algorithms that reinforce commercial success. So the more a song is played, the more it gets recommended, which means it gets played more. It's a self-fulfilling cycle. And honestly, fans on all sides have contributed to making this about numbers instead about art. Examples: Twitter arguments about streaming numbers, comparing first week sales. My artist sold more than yours. All of these factors created an environment where commercial success was seen as the only thing that mattered. And in that environment, someone like Drake thrived. But what we're seeing now is a correction. The culture is starting to say, wait, maybe the numbers don't tell the whole story. Maybe artistry actually matters. And the people who enabled the numbers-only era, they're scrambling to adjust. Deeper implications. What this means for hip-hop as a genre moving forward. So let's talk about what this all means for hip-hop as a genre moving forward, because this isn't just drama between two artists. This is about the future of rap music and what gets valued. If the industry continues down the path it's been on, prioritizing streaming numbers, TikTok virality, playlist placements, we're going to get more of what we've been getting. Music designed for algorithms, songs that sound like everything else, artists who prioritize commercial appeal over artistic expression. But if the culture shifts toward valuing longevity, artistic depth, and cultural impact, which is what Kendrick's success suggests might be happening, then we might actually see a renaissance of thoughtful, ambitious hip-hop. And that's the choice we're at right now. Do we want hip-hop to be an art form, or do we want it to be a content machine? Just remember, the music that survives, the music that gets studied and celebrated decades from now, isn't going to be the music that topped the charts. It's going to be the music that meant something. So when we look at Drake and Kendrick, when we look at God's Plan and Goosebumps, we have to ask ourselves, which one do we want to define this era? Synthesis and payoff, bringing it all together. All right, loves, let's bring this all the way back around because we've covered a lot. We started with Kendrick selling at an 85,000-seat stadium in Argentina, the first rapper ever to perform at Estadio River Plate, while people online tried to spread lies about empty seats. We talked about the GNX tour breaking records across South America, with crowds getting bigger and more energetic at every stop. We learned that Goosebumps, Kendrick's collaboration with Travis Scott, just became the best-selling rap song in history at 17 times platinum, surpassing Drake's God's Plan. We found out that Kendrick rarely submits his music for certification, which means songs like Humble and Not Like Us, which reportedly have diamond-level numbers, might actually be outperforming Goosebumps if he ever bothered to make it official. And we discovered that despite having the biggest rap song ever, Kendrick doesn't even perform it on his tour because he's more interested in artistry than commercial validation. We also explored the pattern of cultural impact versus commercial success and how Drake's biggest hits dominated in the moment but fade with the time, while Kendrick's music keeps growing over time. We heard that the deciders are allegedly saying that Kendrick's success is creating serious pressure for Drake, and the perception of the business is shifting. And we examined how labels, media, streaming platforms, and fan culture all contributed to creating an environment where commercial numbers were overvalued and artistic artistry were undervalued. So when you add it all up, when you look at the totality of the evidence, what you see is an artist who's been playing a completely different game. While everyone else was fighting for chart positions and playlist placements, Kendrick was building a legacy. And the irony, the absolutely delicious irony, is that by not playing the commercial game, by not chasing certifications, by not performing his biggest hit, he ended up winning the commercial game anyway. He has the best-selling rap song ever. He's selling at stadiums that other rappers can't. He's making history in markets like getting glory, and he's doing all while maintaining complete artistic integrity. That's not just success, loves. That's dominance. Now, does that mean Drake isn't successful? Of course not. Drake is one of the most burgeoning artists of the 21st century. His numbers are astronomical. His influence is undeniable. But when we're talking about legacy, when we're talking about what we remembered in 20, 30, 40 years, the evidence clearly shows who bet on the right strategy. And I think that's what's making certain people so uncomfortable right now. The realization that all the charts and all the streams and all the records might not matter as much as they thought they did. The culture is moving, and some people are on the right side of that shift, and others are watching their legacies get reevaluated in real time. Conclusion and engagement. So, yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. We're watching a complete cultural shift happen in hip-hop where artistry is turning to be valued over commercial manipulation, where longevity is starting to matter more than first-week numbers, and where authenticity is proving to be just as profitable, if not more profitable, than playing the industry game. The key questions moving forward are, will Kendrick ever submit his full catalog for certification? And if he does, how many records will he break? How will Drake respond to the shifting perception? Will other artists start following Kendrick's model of prioritizing artistry over commercial appeal? And most importantly, what does this mean for the future of hip-hop as earthworm? But what do you think about all of this? Do you think Kendrick's approach is sustainable? Or was this just a perfect storm of circumstances? Do you think Drake's legacy is actually threatened? Or is this just overreaction? And where do you fall on the cultural impact versus commercial success debate? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear all perspectives on this, whether you agree with me or think I'm completely wrong. And honestly, thank you for sticking with me for this whole deep dive. I know it was long, but this story has so many layers that I didn't want to skip over any of them. If you found this great out valuable, please leave this below to approach to more people. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos where we break down the real stories behind the headlines. Coming up next, I'm actually going to be looking at the business side of all this, specifically how touring revenue has changed the game for artists who can sell at stadiums versus artists who rely on streaming income. Because there's a whole other layer to the story that involves actual dollars and cents, and it's wild. But until then, keep thinking critically, keep questioning the narratives you're being fed, and remember that the truth usually isn't in the headlines. It's in the details that they don't want you to pay attention to. I'll catch you all in the next one. Stay blessed, love us. Music fade in. End.